Over the years, there has been study after study, like the newest reported studies, that show that different racial groups, minority to be specific, have much higher incidence of diabetes, cancer, heart attacks, strokes, and many other diseases. Now, there are several factors, some social, not any that are serious, that are genetic, but yes, some biological. If you look at these minorities and the suppressed life that most of them have suffered, the educational level that most have acquired is lower than the white population. People who are less educated tend to eat worse, tend to exercise less, and tend to have the inability to know what they should be doing as far as it goes with health. Number two, if you look at the type of ethnic diets that some of these groups eat, let's take the African Americans as an example. They pretty much are eating a slave diet. Now, we call it African American to be polite and politically correct, but the truth of the matter is that high-fat foods that were the scrap from the slave owner's table is what they've maintained as a main staple within the African American diet. This, of course, is going to raise the chances of every well-known disease. I know years ago that I read something that stunned me when I heard that young men below 35 years old suffered in the African American population 3 times higher amounts of heart attacks and strokes than did the white population. Hispanic population, generally again being a lower economic group, less educated, also dine on foods that are not as savory for your health as they should be. One step up from the African American diet, because many of the cultures that speak Spanish, South American, Caribbean, etc., at least use carbohydrates more than animal proteins. But with that said, they certainly have a much higher incidence of every well-known disease than do the white population statistics show us. Probably the Native Americans are the worst of all. If you look at the Native Americans, we inherently took away every possible lifestyle process that they ever had, the Western white culture, within a matter of 1 or 2 generations, forced them to live radically different than they ever lived in history before. So this is where you see high incidence of alcoholism, even higher incidence in some tribes of cancer than the African American population, diabetes as high, if not higher, than the African American population. And you just can't take people who are living in a relatively good way, exercising all the time enormously, put suits and ties on them, sit them down, and tell them they have to eat a Western diet without some very serious problems occurring. And that's what we see with ethnic eating, and it's time that we help the poor and the underprivileged as much as we are ourselves when it comes to natural health care.